Before I get into the meat of what I want to talk about here, I want to first explain something, what my position is. Art, paintings, beautiful objects, sculpture, whatever it is, whatever art form you're interested in. There's one thing that I think is pretty basic, and I think most people would agree on, or have agreed on up until about probably a couple of years ago. Art must be created by a human being. Art must be the image, the production of the human imagination, a human's imagination, not a committee. A human's imagination and his skillful ability to transmit that imagination to his fingertips to create an object, whether it's a fine painting, a sculpture, an engraving, a piece of furniture, a piece of jewelry, a Chinese bronze, whatever it may be. The first absolute requirement is that a human has to be doing the work, not a computer. And what's happened is that the art world, the auction world, and the upper tiers, the Sotheby's and the Christie's, as we've talked about in the past, are in a lot of trouble. They have a shrinking market. Their revenues are way down. Their revenues have been slipping now for a couple of years. They're not having a good time this year. Back a few years ago, during COVID, you remember they shifted gears heavily. Sotheby's leading the way and going straight into really pushing things like wristwatches, wines, liquors, Hermes handbags, vacation trips, this sort of thing, and NFTs, of course. And the reason was that they had a sort of a captive audience during COVID, as I've said before, people sitting around with a lot of money and nothing to do with it, and they decided to lure them in and get them to buy a bunch of expensive luxury goods. And now that market is tapering off, and now they need something else because they need to have a product to sell. In order to run an auction house, you have to have a product. And if there's not enough legitimate art and antiques and so forth, which has been your traditional bread and butter, what are you going to do? Well, think outside the box. Create some. And what they've done here is they've started a thing, the Sotheby's and some other investors, I'm not quite sure how they structured it, but a bunch of people got together and they created this. It's called Botto, a decentralized autonomous artist. And like all artists, what they had to do is they had to make it sound legitimate. Because if you just say it's a computer-generated painting, it's not going to go anywhere. So they create a little mystique for it. They take these sort of interesting, evocative photographs. You scroll down here a little bit, and you have an artist, about the artist. Okay, keep in mind, they're talking about a computer. There's no human being involved. I guess they have a committee of 5,000 or 10,000 people throughout the course of this project that have contributed bits and pieces to it. But there is no human being doing any painting here. This is purely computer generated based on input algorithms and so forth and machine learning. So what they've done is they've created this website just like they would for Botto or any real artist, but this is a computer artist. And they put these sort of, misty 1930s background scenes in, and then you have this thing about the curriculum. They gave it a curriculum vitae. Here it is. Solo exhibitions, selected group exhibitions, selected publications, selected bibliography, and then back down to the artist again. There's all kinds of stuff in here. It's just absolutely hilarious. And then they have, there's a selection. You can go look at some of the paintings. They have events. And then they have press releases and so forth. They have press releases for a computer who's creating pictures. Okay, that's what it amounts to. And the idea is to normalize it, to make it seem like to the uneducated, this is legitimate art. This is real art. Because there are a lot of people out there with a lot of money that don't know anything about art, but they want to be hip. They want to be, they want to be on the cutting edge. They want to be cool. They want to have something to hang in their fancy Soho apartment or their Upper East Side flat that'll indicate that they're tied into what's going on in the world and so forth. And then this scene with a bunch of young people standing around, sort of staring at them all. And this art is dreck. Okay, it's just pure dreck. It's just colors. It's just nothing. And but they're trying very hard to make it seem exciting. But I wanted to show you some of the pictures that they've sold. And it's a complete mystery to me how anybody could be suckered into this, but they did. They didn't sell all of them because I think a few people, smarter people prevailed. But this was a sale they had here of Botto works. So this is a group of them here, and I'm going to go through and show you some of them. Okay, this is one, and what's really interesting is that they've given them periods. Like this painting here was done during the interstice period, March, number 13. And it's just obviously what it is. It's a big empty room with some murals on the walls and ceilings, some late day shadows, and it sold for $31,000. It was made by a computer. And it's on the blockchain, though. You got to keep that in mind. You get on the blockchain for it. And there's a whole write-up at the bottom with all this drivel and all these, this gallery speak, trying to make it sound human. Light befriends shadows in a silent dance in an interplay of what is seen and unseen, teaching the eye virtue of patience. Word salads, and we've all heard enough word salads lately. All right, and each painting has something like this. This is another Botto. This is also from the interstice period, but it didn't sell. Nobody would shell out the $15,000 to $20,000 for that. This did sell for $33,000. This is the Seaport series, as I recall. Yeah, Seaport series. It is number 8 from an edition of 10, and this is it. And if any of you recognize this kind of picture, this is the kind of thing that you saw on children's books from Golden Books in the 1950s. It's a style of art that is, it's illustrator art of absolute mediocre grade, and they've somehow managed to convince people that this is somehow something. I don't know what. It looks like a couple of monks looking at a boat. But anyway, that's what I'm seeing. And then you have this. This looks like they're slaughtering chickens. This is from the Genesis period, October, number 50, executed in 2022. So a computer is now executing paintings. It wasn't executed; it was generated. This is a computer-generated image based on an algorithm, and apparently they're arguing that this AI computer is taking itself through its own evolutions and periods, because it's learning as it goes, and it's evolving as an artistic entity. No, it's not. It'll never be an artistic entity because it's a damn computer. All right, and it's all there is to it. And then you have this thing that looks like a vomited cartoon from Saturday morning. This is called Expose Stream. It sold for $132,000. I should point out, this sold for $144,000. So there is one born every minute. And this was also done during the Genesis period. So they're just throwing these terms out there: the Genesis period, the interstice period, this period, that period. There are no periods. It's a computer. It's a freaking computer. But they have to humanize it. They have to make it seem as though this is like a computer that you could talk to. This is an autonomous computer. This is a computer with a brain. No, a computer can message. A computer cannot talk. And a computer will never be able to talk. A computer will be able to regurgitate messages based on an algorithm, which is much different than having a conversation. And this is all very much different than having art created by a human being who's had life experiences, who's done things, who's created things, who's felt pain, who's got a family, who's traveled, who's seen things, interpreted through the human brain. The human brain, not a computer program. And the human brain is by far superior to any computer program when it comes to art, in my opinion. And the ability of a human being to transmit images to his fingertips so that they get created onto the material that's before them, whether it's stone or clay or oil paint or watercolors or a steel plate or a piece of wood or some gold and diamonds and a piece of jewelry being fabricated, something. But it all comes through the mind's eye, not through the computer's eye. And this is something that the big auction house has to be able to. These auction houses have to peddle in order to make it successful. All right, and then you have this one, which is sort of a psychotic look at Geppetto's workshops, as far as I can tell. It's called The Alchemist Playroom, and it is from the Grails 5 series. It sold for $2,640, and it's a sort of a silly-looking thing with sort of mangled and injured images and a fire and who knows what all. But anyway, this is Botto, and this is where the art world is going because it's a great scam. It's all it is. This is a scam. Straight up scam. All right? It's not art. It's a scam pretending to be art. And I sit and look at it, and I was just wondering what are they going to dream up next to fleece buyers at their auctions? What are they going to come up with next? Because this is not art. It just isn't. It's a computer-generated image. It's not executed. It's not painted. It's not created. It's generated. And art cannot be generated. All right? Electricity is generated. But paintings cannot be generated. They need to be painted. They need to be created by the human mind for other human beings to appreciate and enjoy. And all of this has just gone too far. Those are my thoughts on it. Tell me what you think. Do you agree or not? Do you think this is art? Do you think this is art, or is it just, clever imagery with pleasing tones of color here and there in order to entice somebody for, the people that are a little bit convincible. We'll put it that way. I don't want to say stupid, gullible, and naive, but that's really what this amounts to. Stupid, gullible, and naive buyers. And it's very sad to see. But there we are. Have a great week. Leave your comments below. Tell me what you think of this. This is just a quick one. But I'm absolutely stunned by this. Bye-bye.